Kinsman with Fort Collins Police Professional Standards Unit. I'm either on the phone or away from my desk. If you please leave me a message, I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Hey, Lieutenant Kinsman, it's William here. 970-825-4421 or 970-412-5463. So yeah, I just got off the phone with you earlier. Truth be told, my brother and I are pretty much always going to be up to our eyeballs in paperwork, and the type of paperwork that when we put it together, the actual writing of it down, that's going to be the same thing for the 42 USC courts as it is for you guys. And so the whole reason why we wanted to come to you guys was to see if we could get you guys to maybe police yourselves so that there isn't some basic malicious prosecution sentence enhancer on the 42 USC side. So just real basic, let's start with one issue and just one issue alone so that you don't feel all convoluted or backed up. And tell me if you need more clarification on this issue. But basically what I'd be writing down is exactly what I'm going to tell you here. And it's very, very simple. So I'm recording this, and it's a voicemail for you, so you can refer to it. So it's the equivalent of having a little paper trail started, right? So let's just start with this. On November 3rd of 2015, officers Brady, Bruff, Johnston, and Cutter wrote my brother and I a ticket for being in a park or a natural area after hours, and we were just outside of Gustav Swanson Natural Area. If you look at the body cam footage, we offered a map. They said save that for court. They said they had maps that were in their patrol vehicles, but that they wouldn't show them to us. In their police report, they said that we were in the park or Gustav Swanson Natural Area, and that's obviously a false document for recording. And then once they got to trial, it's very simple. We played their body cam footage, and they basically pointed to somewhere in the park for the map that they provided in the trial. So they pointed to a location on their physical map that was not the same as where their body cam footage had pinned them.
You can hang out here all you want. Stay here.
So the records there, in trial, I think we kept some of the records of the actual map they allegedly used or pointed to in the trial. And that was it. The jury, using a ruler, were able to count how many feet that I was from the street. We were about 150 feet versus about 50 is where you guys had alleged us being. So we won your trial, / you guys lost it. You didn't provide enough evidence for the jury, and the reason why we just need to report this as just a internal affairs claim to you is very simple. That the elements that they lost in trial over, of not having a map to go off of or being in the wrong place, is the kind of thing that they were supposed to get more correct in the streets. I can only imagine that it's your policy to be following your jurisdictions and only ticket people inside of them, right? However you guys do that, if it's your policy to use your patrol maps in the vehicle, they said they had maps that night. I do know that you guys have a mapping program in your computers, your laptops, that's kind of similar or built or based upon the GIS map system that the Fort Collins has available at fcgov.com. So they could have been using that. That was correct. There actually aren't any inconsistencies with Gustav Swanson Natural Area. That mapped area has always been correct. And so it's as simple as that. That's what we're going to present to the 42 USCs, is that you guys were supposed to use the element of inside of a park, and you didn't. And an objectively reasonable cop would simply use a map. In that case, where we were, we thought it was also public, but it was some guy's private property that he leaves open to the public. An objectively reasonable person would have most likely had to just simply go get.
You are approaching the maximum length for a recording. Finish your recording after the tone.
An objectively reasonable person would have simply double-checked with the business owner to see if we were okay with being on his property. There would be no controversy with the property itself because you guys have maps, and objectively reasonable officers would be using their maps correctly, especially if they offer them. So I'm leaving you with this.
You have reached the maximum length for a recording. To send this message, press pound or hang up. To mark it urgent, 1. To play it, 3. To re-record it, 4. To add to it, your message has been sent. If you would like to try an extension, you may do so now. Goodbye.
Professional standards, this is Jared.
Oh, Jared, hey, it's William here. I was trying to leave you the 2 of 2 of a voicemail.
That's okay. What's going on?
Well, you'll hear it in the voicemail, but in all honesty, my brother and I are in the same boat as we were when Murphy told us to write it down. And the types of writing things down is the types of information that is the same stuff that we're going to have to use to file our 42 USCs with anyways. So what we were trying to do was get information to you guys in our compromised state that could help you guys resolve these situations possibly favorably before those 42 USCs, so you guys don't have potentially some sort of like malicious prosecution enhancer for sentencing and stuff. And so I just left a voicemail, just left you with one voicemail, simply stating with one case that we could do one at a time. And if you listen to the voicemail, it was very simple. It was the Park Curfew North College one that we picked. We don't actually have any unique evidence on our side, except for maybe, if we were to put together our own affidavit of events of what we claim that happened that night. But it's as simple as we weren't in the park. And so you guys thought we were in the park. And let's put it this way. All the other ones, like the fence, because it has a lot more evidence, we will still try and get that more detailed information to you. But when it comes to like Park Curfew North College, this one, because it was so black and white, that's one that we wanted to make sure we got to you first, and so you can start dealing with it and moving forward with it, and not having to wait for the other ones, because it's literally black and white like that. So,
Well, and that's where I would offer you this, William, is that you and I have had enough discussions now that never are your complaints just black and white. They're more complicated than a standard complaint.
Boy, I don't know, man. If you listen to that voicemail, I ran out of stuff. All I said was, look, we weren't in your park. You think we were in your park? I've run out of stuff to say about that case. So I don't appreciate being defamed.
I'll listen to it, William, but a lot of those I'm going to kind of tell you is I'll listen to it and evaluate and see if it's something that we would be investigating as far as
Yeah.
Can I finish?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's the perfect opportunity, I think, that if you need more information from me, listen to the voicemail and just get back to me. And if you don't need anything more, then that's how we'll know that was enough information.
Okay, and if I don't if I do an analysis of what you're saying and it's not an officer making a known policy violation, it can be hard to kind of take your criminal case and turn it into a policy violation because they have to knowingly violate it. So
sure, but
I'll review it and then I'll get back if I need to. Okay.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. And the reason why I called back to leave the other half of the voicemail was just to kind of sum up the one sentence which you just did here, but I just want to sum it up officially, and that is that I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in your when you analyze this, but I do believe that it is your guys' policy to use maps, and then especially if you claim that you're using them to be within that area. And if you're,
and I'm not going to get into answering
exactly,
questions about maps,
yeah,
the details that you're arguing in your court case.
Well, that was the detail. Was they said that we were in the park. We said that we weren't. They said that we had. They had maps. We said that we had maps, and that was it. And so it's one of the most cut and dry, black and white. Where if you guys are just unlucky enough to not be in that mapped area, then you simply have explaining to do for yourselves of how you managed to find yourselves out of that area. And I naturally speaking, I would imagine
those details in the appropriate court and forum, and then I'll look at the rest of this and see if there's something actionable, and if there's not, then
sure. But I guess ultimately what I'm also trying to get at is when I report these things, I'm naturally assuming that it's your policy to use maps or to be within your jurisdictions. If that's not what your policy is, that's really what I wanted to get down mostly is it your policy to be within a jurisdiction that you claim? And if you're putting that on a police report, is that your policy to be factually correct? And if you don't feel like that's something that you can handle on your level, then we'll just keep going up the chains. But I feel like that's a pretty basic concept that, it's your policy to follow your elements. And if you allege that someone's in a park and they're not in a park, you got some splaining to do. And that's it.
William, here's the thing. I know that you're recording me, and I know that you're trying to establish some evidence for a court case that you'd like to present against the city of Fort Collins and the police department. So my response to when you're asking questions or making comments like that is, this is where then you need to subpoena the people that were involved for your civil case, and then they'll testify to that information in that hearing, okay?
Well, sure, but I'm just saying common sense. When you, hey man, if you guys don't know what probable cause is, and you claim that you use elements and you don't, that's the whole complaint about the city in the end, is that if you guys don't actually know how to police yourselves, I can't all of a sudden start and so doing it for you. So all I'm going to do is just put it all on paper or tell you, and if I can't get it all on paper because I don't have to, I'm just going to tell you guys. And if you whatever you want to say, we don't care what your answer is. We just wanted to take what you have to say to the next hires up, like we said, for malicious prosecution enhancement, because honestly, if you can't see that you made a mistake here or there, that's our goal, is to get to people who can recognize that those are mistakes, and so we replace you guys underneath them if you're cronies. And so
can I ask you a question, William?
Sure.
When are you going to stop calling us and asking us to respond to your questions and go ahead and file your suit so we can take this to a court and you can hear from a judge versus us?
Because do you want to know the answer? Because your internal affairs policy said I could report things to you guys.
I'm asking you for the appropriate level of information to be able to inquire about this. That's all I'm asking for, and that's reasonable.
Yep, and then
common sense, reasonable approach would suggest that what I'm asking for is acceptable, considering the granular nature of what you're asking.
North of that is
so all I'm saying is, what I'm asking is if I would ask if either you take action and do what you want to do, or stop calling here and trying to bait us into a discussion about things that, quite frankly, you're talking about very granular, minute elements of legal argument that are really meant for a courtroom and not to be had out over a phone call.
Well, I can kind of see where you're coming from, but what you need to understand is that, like...
Well, here's the thing, is the judge is going to see that too. The judge is going to see what your intentions are behind doing this, and here's the thing is, you're not the first person in the world or this country that is doing what you're doing.
What do you mean doing what I'm doing?
Well, you're trying to set the police department up to say things or do things so that you can then go sue us on a technicality.
Is that really what you think I'm doing, Kinsman?
Yeah, it is what I think you're doing.
You really think I'm doing that, huh?
William, you record every conversation. You ask details about criminal cases and elements that are... And you've even said something to that effect in the past, if I remember correctly. And granted, I'm trying to remember correctly. That you caught us in some kind of lie or misgiving. And all I'm asking for is, if you're asking us to be transparent, I ask for the same thing in return. And us be respectful of one another. And if you do have a genuine complaint, provide me with that information, and I will promise you I will do my best to look into it and give you a fair shake like everybody else. But if this is some level of trying to just establish some evidence for a case that you're trying to build against the city of Fort Collins, that's not fair. That's not a very good... That's you not acting as a responsible citizen. That's you trying to take advantage of some technicalities in a courtroom.
Oh boy, Kinsman, I think you're very mistaken. My brother and I don't ever govern ourselves off of technicalities. We actually tried to stay as far away from you guys as we could, and the only reason why we went to that location that night and used the maps that we did is because we couldn't find a way to get out of the town all the way. And so we looked for places that weren't in parks, that were public property, that we could be. And truthfully speaking, the reason why you say these things is...
If there's legitimate problems you have, send me what you have like I asked and like you said in the last
Look,
phone call.
I already did, and I already gave it to Murphy, and I've already followed all your internal affairs policies. And when you say to write it down, and I give you something as simple as, look, I won your trial, I wasn't in your park, I don't have anything else to write down. And if you tell me that there's more to write down, then I'm just going to take you and this audio and the internal affairs policy, and I'm going to move forward to somebody else. And the reason why I do these things is because I feel as though I'm being circumvented and given the runaround when all I'm doing is following policies. And so I followed a policy.
Didn't the city attorney tell you to write this down as well?
Nope, she just listened the whole time. And that's not your policy, guys. That's literally not your policy. In fact, you're violating your own policy by telling me to do that right now.
Well, you know what I'll do, William? I'll do my best to try to take what you have, but honestly, I don't have much to go on.
Well,
what you're arguing is a technical element in a criminal case that I don't have all the information because you're not willing to provide me enough to go off of.
This particular situation of the Park Curfew North College, I tried to explain to you a second ago or in the previous conversation that we don't have any new information ourselves. With that one, that was an easy one. All we did was go to court. We referred to your body cam footage. We actually took a picture of ourselves in the same area and with a GPS map. And so all of the information is already there for you guys to go police yourselves. You can go walk out to the physical location with Brady and ask him where he ticketed us, and then you can use a GPS program and see that he wasn't in a park. And so whether or not you guys say you have probable cause that maybe it was dark at night and it was really fast and rushed and stuff, all I'm saying is it your policy to ticket people within your jurisdictions? Is it your policy to use maps? Yes.
William, I will listen to your voicemail.
So
I will see what I can do. But if there's nothing for me to look into because it was a criminal case that was already tried or adjudicated in the courtroom, there's not much I can do about that. If there's an officer knowingly violated some kind of policy, then I can look into that. But let me look into that first. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's all I'm trying to go for. Yeah, it's just I think it's his policy, for instance, to just.
Hold on.
Sure.
I gotta get going. But as far as services, if you and your brother need some help because of your situation, there's plenty of stuff out there, and I actually wish you the best of luck, and I just direct you to use those groups of people that are willing to help you guys. Okay?
We literally just need time to put together paperwork because you guys don't do it. So I mean, we're at the pace we're going, but like let's just put it this way. Park Curfew North College, they pointed to a place that we weren't on trial, on the stand. And so that is that's literally, all I'm saying is that I'm reporting that somebody lied in court, and how you determine that outside of court is your guys' job, because is it not a charge of perjury? Is perjury a criminal offense that can be charged without me going through my 42 USC?
I need more details than that, so that's why I'm asking for you to just send me something that I can actually do something with.
In this case, I would literally just simply send you the body cam footage and the police report of that night. That's all I have. That's all we have for that case, because that was such an easy case. We don't actually have anything new or personal.
To courtroom testimony, and you're referring to a whole bunch of other things, so...
No. Hey, Kinsman. Actually, this is what I'm trying to get at. I'm really glad that we're trying to get down this. No, you need to understand this. This is a very important concept. Anything that we're alleging in our court cases are over the elements that were never alleged in the first place on the streets. And so the reason why we won in court case, because they didn't use their maps in the streets. All we're saying is that they didn't use their elements in the streets. And naturally, if you don't use your elements in the streets and you get found not guilty in court over those same elements, the chances are those elements should have probably been done. And that's probably where you guys get your probable cause from. And so if I get found not guilty over issues that, like designation, for instance, for Park Curfew, Jefferson Park, if the judge strikes it down and says, hey, it wasn't designated, and designation is one of the essential elements of the charge itself, if you guys didn't do your homework for the designation, and that's why you lost in court, then naturally someone with a little bit of common sense is going to see that a cop simply just didn't do his job, and that it's very easy to see what a cop would do if a cop was doing his job. We already know what the objectively reasonable person is, and that is somebody that would simply use the elements and go read them and see that it's not designated, and then once it's not designated, not go pick them up. That's all we're trying to say is we're catching people on technicalities in the streets over elements that you guys are thinking you can bring into the courts and argue bureaucratically, when what we're saying is you didn't use your elements in the streets, and you're never going to argue out of it, and technically speaking. And so the only things that are left is a 42 USC, and if you guys are smart enough to police yourselves, your own internal affairs.
All right, buddy. You take
So
care.
I understand where your position is.
All right,
Thank you.
we'll see ya.
Bye.
Sir, I hate to interrupt. I know
Is there a problem?
Yeah, it's the way you're rolling around here. It's these rooms here that are running these the GED classes and stuff. They kind of hear your voice and whatnot, it's a little louder.
So is there policy I'm violating?
No, not at all. I'm just saying for the respect of them, they're kind of near that room. If you want to do it out here, that's fine. So. Yeah,
Well, if
they're
I'm not
just
violating any policies, I would
No, they're
appreciate
just
you
kinda-
not talking to me about
They're
anything,
just kind of
period.
concentrating and stuff. It's just etiquette.
Well, that's the point, is that if you're telling me something that's
Yeah.
not policy violation, I would feel like a little uncomfortable. In fact, I would basically keep doing what I'm doing, because if I'm not actually breaking any rules,
Sure,
why are
you
you
can.
wasting my time?
You can. It's just so that's why they closed the door. So
Hey, that's cool. That's why there's doors.
okay.
Please just limit your exposure with people to policy violations, or if you want. Yeah. Or you can be nice and ask, but
Yeah, just advising. Yeah.
cool.
So,
I mean, if this is a public establishment, it's a public establishment.
sure
Right?
is. Yeah, it is.
So.
Yeah.
You a security guard or cop?
Yes. Security officer. Yeah.
Do you guys have the power to detain with reasonable suspicion? Do you ever use that word, reasonable suspicion?
No, I was just simply advising you.
Oh, okay. No. This
Yeah,
is
it's
for a
just-
different case that we're
just-
building.
Okay.
Yeah. We caught a
A different case at all? Okay.
we caught a security guard in Denver University who
Okay.
thought he was a cop and was detaining us with reasonable suspicion as if he was a cop.
No, we don't. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's,
Yeah.
I got no beef with you.
Yeah.
I'm on my way out anyways.
Thanks. Okay.
Good luck.